I stand alone at the edge of the reception hall, watching my sister Sierra float across the dance floor in her cream-colored gown that probably cost more than some people's cars. The Four Seasons Chicago ballroom drips with crystal chandeliers and elaborate floral arrangements in white and gold. Everything about this wedding screams excess. My navy dress feels suddenly plain among the sequins and designer labels that populate the room. I adjust the slim gold bracelet at my wrist, grandmother's, the only family heirloom I was ever given. Sierra throws her head back laughing as her new husband Grant spins her in a practiced waltz. Their movements look rehearsed. Like everything else about this production, 300 guests watch and smile. The perfect couple. The golden child and her investment banker husband. I take a sip of champagne, calculating how much longer I need to stay before making a polite exit. 2 hours down, maybe 2 more to go. Excuse me. A waiter bumps my arm as he rushes past with a tray of hors d'oeuvre. My champagne splashes onto the bodice of my dress, leaving a dark, wet stain across the front. "I'm so," he begins, then seems to think better of it when he notices I'm standing alone. No apology follows as he hurries toward a cluster of my father's business associates. I dab at the stain with a cocktail napkin when I spot them approaching. My parents, Janet and Leonard Holloway, wearing identical smiles that don't reach their eyes. "Renata, darling." My mother air kisses near my cheek, careful not to smudge her lipstick. Her diamond earrings catch the light as she pulls back. "You've been hiding in the corner all evening." My father gives my shoulder a perfunctory squeeze. "Nice dress," he says, though his eyes have already moved past me, scanning the room as if looking for more important guests. "Beautiful ceremony," I say because it's expected. "Yes, well," Mother's voice drops an octave. "Leonard, isn't there something we needed to discuss with Renata?" My father's attention snaps back to me. "Yes, let's step over here." He gestures toward an alcove near the service entrance, away from the main reception. The knot that forms in my stomach is familiar, the same sensation I've had since childhood whenever they needed to discuss something. Nothing good ever follows. We move to the alcove, where the music is slightly muffled. A waiter passes, avoiding eye contact. My mother waits until he's gone before speaking. "We need to talk about your condo," my father says without preamble. "My condo?" The question comes out sharper than intended. My mother's smile vanishes. Sierra and Grant need a proper home to start their family. "What does that have to do with my place?" My father shifts his weight, hands in his pockets. "We think it would be best if you let them have the Lincoln Park property." The words hang in the air between us. I wait for the punchline that doesn't come. "You want me to give them my condo?" The question sounds absurd even as I say it. "Not give exactly," my mother says, waving her hand dismissively. "We'd help you relocate to something more appropriate." "We found a nice studio in Cicero," my father adds, "closer to the courthouse." My brain struggles to process what they're suggesting. "You want me to trade my $1.45 million Lincoln Park condo for a studio in Cicero?" "You don't need all that space, Renata," my mother says, her voice honeyed but her eyes cold. "You're single." The implication lands like a slap. Single, childless, less deserving. For several seconds, I can't speak. The audacity steals my breath. The condo I bought with my own money. The home I created after years of 60-hour work weeks and sacrificed vacations. "That condo is my home," I finally say, my voice controlled despite the heat rising in my chest. My mother sighs. "It's just rooms and walls, dear." "Family sacrifices for family," my father adds, as if reciting from some parental handbook I never received. "Sierra and Grant need to establish themselves in the right neighborhood." I notice Judge McAllister across the room, watching our conversation with undisguised interest. Several other guests glance our way, perhaps sensing the tension radiating from our little alcove. "Is something wrong?" Sierra appears suddenly, champagne glass in hand, her voice deliberately louder than necessary. Grant hovers behind her, looking uncomfortable. "Your sister is being difficult," my mother stage whispers. "Some things never change." Sierra's eyes narrow, fixing on me with practiced disdain. "Again, Renata? Can't you just be happy for me for once without making everything about you?" Several nearby guests turn their heads. I spot Carolyn Davis from my law firm, eyebrows raised in curiosity. "You've always been jealous," Sierra continues, her voice rising. "Remember when she skipped my college graduation, Mom? Or when she screamed at Dad over a tuition check?" The whispers spread like fire. Half-truths twisted into character assassination. My home is not yours to demand, I say quietly, feeling something snap inside me after years of bending. Sierra's face transforms. The smile vanishes, replaced by something ugly and raw. Her arm moves so quickly I don't have time to step back. The sharp crack of her palm against my cheek echoes in sudden silence. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Someone chuckles nervously. Others stare in shocked silence. My hand rises to my burning cheek as I look past Sierra to my parents. My mother's lips curl in a subtle smirk. My father shrugs indifferently, eyes already drifting toward the bar. Not one family member steps forward in my defense. Not one. And in that moment, standing surrounded by 300 witnesses to my humiliation, something inside me turns to steel. The sting blooms across my cheek like wildfire. Silence drops over the ballroom as if someone cut the power. I touch my face, the heat radiating under my fingertips. My lawyer brain clicks into gear, cataloging witnesses, assessing the situation with surprising clarity. Sierra's triumphant smile begins to falter as her eyes dart around the room. The enormity of what she's done in front of Chicago's legal and business elite dawns on her face. Her wedding dress suddenly looks too tight, too bright, like a costume she's outgrown in the space of a heartbeat. Let's discuss this somewhere private, my father whispers urgently, his hand reaching for my elbow. I plant my feet firmly on the marble floor. No. The single word carries more weight than any legal argument I've ever crafted. Leonard's face reddens beneath his expensive tan. He's not accustomed to direct refusal, especially not from me. Stop making a scene, my mother hisses, her diamond earrings catching the light as she leans closer. This is Sierra's day. Across the room, Judge McAllister watches with undisguised concern. Our eyes meet briefly, and I see something I never expected: respect. He gives an almost imperceptible nod before turning to whisper to his wife. If you give them the condo, my father says, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, we'll invite you home for Christmas. No more awkward holidays. The words hit harder than Sierra's slap. The casual admission that my exclusion from family gatherings has been deliberate all along. Not oversight, not scheduling conflicts. Deliberate. Christmas floods back to me in vivid detail. Last year, sitting alone in my condo with a glass of Cabernet, watching the lights of Chicago twinkle through floor-to-ceiling windows. The text I'd sent that morning, Merry Christmas, left unanswered, while their Instagram filled with photos of turkey and presents and Sierra opening the earrings I knew cost more than my first car. We always hoped you'd understand family priorities, my mother adds, her voice honeyed poison. I don't cry. I don't raise my voice. Instead, my fingers reach for my clutch, movements precise and unhurried. The weight of my phone feels substantial in my hand, anchoring me to this moment that will change everything. My thumb moves across the screen with purpose. The message is simple, direct. No embellishment needed. My family demanded I give up my home. My sister slapped me. 180 guests laughed. I select the recipients carefully. My law partners, Judge McAllister, the Chicago Tribune reporter who interviewed me last month about women in corporate law. Send. A soft click from nearby catches my attention. A young woman in a midnight blue cocktail dress lowers her phone, meeting my gaze with a small nod. The video of Sierra's assault already captured, already moving through the digital veins of Chicago society. Across the ballroom, phones begin to chime and vibrate. The soft symphony of notification pings ripples through the crowd. Sierra's smile falters as she notices a cluster of her friends hunched over their screens, whispering urgently. What's happening? She turns to Grant, whose face has gone pale as he checks his own phone. My mother moves with surprising speed toward the 5-tier wedding cake, clapping her hands for attention. Everyone, it's time for the cake cutting. Gather around, please. Her voice rings with forced cheerfulness, but fewer than half the guests respond. Leonard corners two of his biggest clients, his hand gestures growing increasingly animated as they back away, making excuses. Judge McAllister catches my eye again as he gathers his coat and his wife's wrap. He pauses on his way to the exit, stopping a respectful distance from me. Miss Holloway, he says quietly, I look forward to seeing you in court next week. The words are mundane, but his tone conveys volumes. A gentle acknowledgement of my dignity. Thank you, Your Honor, I reply, my voice steadier than I expected. I turn toward the coat check, movements measured and deliberate. No rushing, No fleeing. My grandmother's bracelet catches the light as I gather my wrap. 300 people watch as I collect my belongings with the same care I bring to preparing case files. Sierra appears at my elbow, her perfect makeup now slightly smudged at one corner. "What did you just do?" she whispers, panic edging her voice. I meet her eyes directly. I simply told the truth. The words hang between us, solid and immovable. No drama, no shouting, just fact. She opens her mouth, then closes it. For perhaps the first time in her life, Sierra has nothing to say. I walk toward the exit, back straight, pace unhurried. Behind me, the festive bubble of the reception has deflated. Conversations stutter and stop. Music plays to a half-empty dance floor. The carefully orchestrated celebration has fallen apart like a house built on sand. The doorman nods respectfully as I pass. Outside, the November air feels clean against my burning cheek. A taxi pulls up immediately, as if orchestrated by fate. "Lincoln Park, please," I tell the driver, providing my address. As we pull away from the Four Seasons, I don't look back. Some chapters close without ceremony. Some battles are won without raising your voice. In the reflection of the window, I see a woman I barely recognize. Someone who has finally stopped bending. The keycard clicks in the lock of my Lincoln Park condo, and I step inside, letting the heavy door close behind me with a satisfying thud 40 minutes later. Chicago's skyline twinkles through my floor-to-ceiling windows, a constellation of lights against the night sky. I stand for a moment in the darkness of my entryway, breathing in the familiar scent of lemon furniture polish and the faint aroma of the morning's coffee. Home. My home. I flip the switch, and warm light floods the space, illuminating the life I've built plank by plank. The Italian marble countertops I splurged on after winning the Harrington case. The leather sectional where Justice, my cat, now stretches lazily, unimpressed by my dramatic entrance. The wall of law books not for show like the leather-bound classics in my father's study, but worn at the spines from actual use. My fingers trail along the bookshelf as I move through the living room. Constitutional law, contract precedents, women's rights legislation. Each volume represents hours of study, of work, of building something no one could take from me. "They want this, Justice," I tell my cat, who blinks slowly in response. "They think they can just snap their fingers and I'll hand over the keys." I catch my reflection in the window and pause. The mark on my cheek has faded from angry red to a dull pink, but it's still visible, a badge of humiliation. I touch it gently, feeling the heat that lingers there. My phone, which I silenced in the cab ride home, buzzes insistently in my purse. When I finally fish it out, the screen is alive with notifications. Dozens of text messages, missed calls, email alerts, social media notifications. The first text is from Carolyn at the firm. "Are you okay? Video going viral. Call me." Video? I scroll through my messages with increasing disbelief. The Chicago Tribune has already reached out for comment. 3 judges' clerks I know personally have sent supportive messages. The managing partner at my old firm has texted a simple, "Whatever you need, we have your back." With shaking fingers, I open the link Carolyn sent. There it is, Sierra's palm connecting with my cheek, the sound crisp even on my phone speaker. The camera angle captures my parents in the background. My mother's subtle smirk, my father's indifferent shrug. 300 witnesses, and now thousands more. "Wedding assault on prominent attorney," screams the headline from the Chicago Legal Times. My phone begins ringing again, a number I don't recognize. Probably another reporter. I silence it and drop the phone onto the couch. The memory rises unbidden, myself at 16, working weekends at Millie's Diner while my classmates went to football games and parties. The greasy smell that clung to my clothes and hair. The burns on my fingers from the industrial fryer. "We're so proud of how responsible you are," my mother had said, taking the check I handed her. Sierra's private school tuition just went up again. I remember the precise amount. $4,327. Every penny I'd saved that summer. The same summer my father took credit for my clerkship with Judge Brennan. "I put in a good word," he'd told his colleagues at the club, patting my shoulder. I hadn't corrected him, even though I'd secured the position through a blind application process. I walk to the kitchen and pour myself a glass of water, the memory shifting to my law school graduation, the empty seats where my parents should have been. Sierra's fashion show was scheduled months ago. my mother had explained. You understand, don't you? Your sister really needs our support right now. I always understood. I always accepted. I always gave. I took a shower and went to sleep. Tomorrow is a D-Day for me, and I will not keep my mouth shut anymore. Next morning, my phone buzzes with an email notification. The subject line catches my eye. Statement from Amber Wave, par regarding Sierra Holloway. I open it, curious despite myself. Amber Wave Public Relations has placed Sierra Holloway on immediate administrative leave pending investigation of a physical altercation at her wedding reception. As an agency representing several women's empowerment initiatives, we have zero tolerance for violence in any context. We are reviewing the situation and will take appropriate action. The glass nearly slips from my hand. Another notification appears: a news alert. Grant's real estate brokerage is investigating the incident involving a family member of one of our agents. My colleague Martin has sent a firm-wide email expressing full support for Renata Holloway's professional integrity during this personal matter. The Women's Legal Alliance has reached out about sharing your story of standing up to family financial exploitation. It's happening so fast. The consequences I never sought, but perhaps in some corner of my soul always wanted. Recognition of the pattern I've endured for decades. Sacrifice demanded, never acknowledged. How different our lives turned out. Sierra, with her Instagram following and PR Joba, carefully curated image funded by parental support and my silent contributions. Me with my law degree and my practice, built dollar by difficult dollar, case by challenging case. My phone rings again, this time with my building's security desk. Miss Holloway, there's someone here insisting on seeing you. Says she's your sister. My heart jumps, but my voice remains steady. I don't want to see her. I walk to my security monitor and press the button to view the lobby camera feed. The image that appears stops my breath. Sierra stands swaying slightly, in old jeans and blouse with a cap on her head, though it's now stained with what looks her makeup has smeared into dark rivers down her cheeks. Her perfectly arranged hair now hangs in loose strands around her face. Please, her voice crackles through the intercom. Renata, I know you're there. I didn't mean it. Help me fix this. The contrast is stark, the radiant bride of yesterday reduced to this desperate figure. My finger hovers over the intercom button. Grant is furious. Dad isn't answering his phone. Mom keeps crying. Please, I need your help. You always know how to fix things. I watch her silently. The golden child. The favorite. Now looking up at my camera with pleading eyes. Renata, please say something. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. We don't need your stupid condo. Just help me make this go away. My hand falls away from the intercom. I press the button that turns off the security monitor, plunging the screen into darkness. In the sudden silence of my home, Justice jumps onto the counter beside me, purring softly as he rubs against my arm. I scratch behind his ears, listening to the quiet of my sanctuary. Not today, I whisper to no one in particular. Maybe not ever. Next morning, my phone buzzes me awake at 5:30 a.m., not my alarm, but notifications. Hundreds of them cascade across my screen like a digital waterfall. I blink sleep from my eyes and reach for my reading glasses on the nightstand. Text messages from law school friends I haven't spoken to in years. LinkedIn notifications from partners at competing firms. Email alerts from news outlets requesting comment. The subject line from the Chicago Tribune stops my breath. Attorney assaulted at sister's wedding after refusing to surrender home. I sit up, fully awake now. Justice, my cat, stretches beside me, oblivious to how our world has shifted overnight. I scratch behind his ears as I scan the flood of messages. Saw the video. Are you okay? From Judge McAllister. That was assault, clear as day, from Caroline at the firm. Your sister just lost 10,000 followers in 12 hours. From my paralegal Beth. I pull up Sierra's Instagram profile. Her follower count shows a precipitous drop since yesterday. The comments on her latest wedding photo have been disabled. Her perfect day narrative crumbling under the weight of truth. My phone rings. A Chicago number I don't recognize. I decline it, only for another to immediately take its place. I switch to Do Not Disturb as I pad to the kitchen for coffee. While the coffee brews, I check my email. Grant's real estate firm has sent a public statement announcing an ethics inquiry into his involvement in an alleged family property dispute. Leonard's largest architecture client has sent a politely worded email, postponing their scheduled meeting next week. Janet's Country Club has issued a formal membership review notice. The Holloway's carefully constructed social facade is cracking under pressure. One slap revealed what's been hiding beneath the surface all along. I shower and dress with particular care: charcoal suit, crisp white blouse, grandmother's gold bracelet. The mark on my cheek has faded to a slight discoloration, easily covered with makeup. The memory hasn't faded as easily. When I arrive at Holloway Legal Solutions later that morning, Marissa at reception hands me a stack of message slips. "These came in before we opened," she says. Her eyes are sympathetic but not pitying. "And these 3 new client consultations specifically requested you." I nod my thanks and head to my office. Through the glass walls, I see my colleagues watching me with unspoken support. No one mentions the wedding, respecting my privacy while silently acknowledging what happened. Around 10, my phone lights up with a private message from Judge McAllister. "Your dignity under pressure speaks volumes. Some battles must be fought in the open." 3 news outlets call before lunch. My assistant declines them all. At noon, I issue a single statement through the firm's social media accounts. Family disputes should never involve physical aggression or property demands. I'm grateful for the support and request privacy at this time. Direct, factual, no emotional appeals, no accusations, just truth. My computer pings with a notification. Sierra has posted a video on Instagram. Her face tear-streaked, her voice breaking as she explains how the incident was taken out of context and how family misunderstandings were weaponized against her. The comment section fills faster than she can delete them. "We all saw what happened. You demanded her home and then slapped her." Gaslighting 101. I close the browser window. I don't need to watch her performance. Next day at work, my phone vibrates with texts from Beth. Janet's usual Thursday lunch group at Le Colonial has suddenly found reasons to cancel. Leonard's business partner has suggested a temporary step back from client relations. A video shows Grant's BMW being repossessed from their apartment parking lot as a small crowd watches. The wedding gifts are being returned by multiple guests. I learn this from my former professor who was in attendance. The honeymoon cruise has been canceled by the couple themselves, according to the travel agency where my college roommate works. I sit with this information, letting it wash over me without drowning in it. Their choices, their consequences. My phone lights up again. Janet's name on the screen. The first of what becomes a cascade of increasingly frantic messages. "This is being blown out of proportion. You need to clarify what happened. We're family, Renata. Your father and I expect you to fix this." Then Leonard. "Our attorney will be in touch about defamation." I forward his message to our litigation team. Their response comes within minutes. A meticulously drafted letter reminding Leonard that truth is an absolute defense to defamation, and that his communication could be construed as witness intimidation. No further legal threats materialize. Sierra's voicemails alternate between tearful apologies and accusations. "I'm sorry I lost my temper," followed by, "You've always been jealous of me," in the very next message. Grant calls once. "Renata, I've been looking at properties. I could find you an even better condo. Better view, better everything." I don't respond to any of them. At 7, Caroline knocks on my office door. "A few of us are having dinner at Miller and Connie's. Nothing fancy, just support." I almost decline out of habit, then reconsider. "Give me 10 minutes to finish this brief." The restaurant is warm, intimate. 6 of my colleagues raise their glasses as I join them. Not to make a spectacle, but to acknowledge something important has shifted. My phone buzzes with new messages, not family this time, but former clients. "Your integrity helped me fight for my business. Now I see you fight for yourself. Thank you. You taught me to stand firm when everyone wanted me to back down. Watching you do the same." A message from a second-year law student. "Your stand against family financial abuse inspired me. I'm doing my thesis on family property rights." Women I've never met sharing similar stories of exploitation, thanking me for making their private struggles visible. I look around at the table of colleagues who've become friends, at the messages from a community I didn't realize I had built, at the life I've created through my own efforts. For the first time, I understand that family isn't just what you're born into. It's what you choose, what you build, what you protect. And sometimes, What you refuse to surrender. 3 days later, I straightened the folders on the conference table for the third time. Each one contains identical documentation bank statements, email printouts, text messages, and holiday cards addressed to me that were never sent. The evidence of years spent as an afterthought in my own family. My law partner Elaine touches my shoulder. They're here. Want me to stay? Please. My voice remains steady despite the flutter in my stomach. And ask Marcus to join us. The receptionist shows my parents into our firm's main conference room. They hesitate at the doorway. Mother's hand flutters to her pearl necklace, while father's eyes dart around the room, taking in the sleek furniture and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Michigan Avenue. Renata. Mother steps forward with arms outstretched as if this were a social call. This has all been such a misunderstanding. I remain seated. Thank you for coming. Would either of you like water? They exchange glances, thrown off by my formality. Father clears his throat. We don't need refreshments. We need to discuss this circus you've created. Please sit. I gesture to the chairs across from me, not beside me. They settle awkwardly as Elaine and Marcus enter, introducing themselves as my partners. Mother's smile turns brittle. Father's jaw clenches. Is this really necessary? Mother asks. Having your colleagues present for a family matter? This stopped being just a family matter when Sierra slapped me in front of 300 people. Father leans forward. About that. The video has been taken completely out of context. Sierra was emotional on her wedding day. You know how sensitive she is. And you've always been one to hold grudges, Mother adds, her voice honey over glass. You could end this right now with a simple statement that it was all exaggerated. I tilt my head. Exaggerated how? The slap was recorded. Dozens of witnesses heard your demand that I surrender my home. For heaven's sake, Renata. Father's voice rises. We've been telling everyone at the club that you're going through some sort of breakdown. People are sympathetic. Just let us help you walk this back. I fold my hands on the table. And what would I get in return for this public recantation? Mother brightens, sensing an opening. We'd forgive you, of course. Christmas at the house this year, your place back in the family. That's what you've always wanted, isn't it? The question hangs between us. Years ago, it might have worked. Today, I simply reach for the folders. Before we discuss any kind of statement, I'd like to show you something. I slide a folder across the polished surface. Father flips it open impatiently, then freezes. The first document shows my payments toward Sierra's college tuition. I explain. $70,000 over 4 years. The second is an email where you, Dad, took credit for connecting me with Judge McAllister, though he was actually my law professor. Mother's face pales as she peers at the contents. Where did you get these? I've kept records. Force of habit. I tap the next page. Here are 3 years of holiday invitations that were supposedly lost in the mail. And my personal favorite, your text messages, Mom. Dismissing my firm's opening as playing at being a lawyer while you spent $30,000 on Sierra's wedding dress. The room falls silent except for the soft rustle of papers. Marcus and Elaine sit perfectly still, professional witnesses to this family autopsy. You had no right to compile this dossier. Father's voice has lost its authority. I had every right, just as I have every right to set terms for any future relationship between us. Mother's eyes widen. Terms? Yes. First, I require a public apology for the events at the wedding. Second, I expect basic respect for my property and career choices. Third, family therapy before any holidays or reunions. And finally, my condo is never to be discussed as something available for Sierra or anyone else. Father stands abruptly. This is outrageous. You don't dictate terms to your parents. We raised you, gave you everything. Did you? I remain seated, my voice level. Look at the financial records again. Notice who supported whom. How dare you? His face flushes crimson. After everything we've done, you've always been difficult, always the problem child. Sierra was right, you're jealous of her happiness. The mask finally slips. Mother no longer bothers to dab at manufactured tears. Real ones spill down her cheeks, smearing her carefully applied makeup. You'll regret this, Father hisses. When you're alone with your precious condo and your cold legal briefs instead of family, you'll regret this. I study him, seeing clearly the man behind the patriarch facade. I would have helped you. I really would have. You had asked with respect instead of entitlement. I would have found them a place, loaned them money, used my connections. But you assumed ownership of what's mine, just as you always have. Mother stands, collecting her purse with trembling hands. Come, Leonard, she's made her choice. They move toward the door. The once powerful parent suddenly diminished in the space of my creation. Renata, Mother says, pausing at the threshold. For a moment, I see something genuine in her eyes' confusion, perhaps even regret. But she simply straightens her jacket and follows Father out. The heavy glass door swings shut behind them. The family facade, maintained for decades, lies in ruins. Elaine squeezes my shoulder. You okay? I nod, gathering the scattered evidence of a lifetime of small betrayals. Better than okay, I answer, surprised to find it's true. For the first time in 35 years, I feel like I can breathe. I stand in the doorway of what used to be my home office, watching as sunlight streams through the newly installed floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. 6 months have passed since the wedding. 6 months since everything changed. What do you think, Miss Holloway? The carpenter adjusts his tool belt. Those recessed lights really showcase your law collection. Perfect. My fingers trail along the smooth cherry wood. And please, call me Renata. He nods, packing his tools. The space bears no resemblance to the sterile office where I once drafted contracts until midnight. Now, a round conference table occupies the center, surrounded by comfortable chairs. A small refrigerator stands stocked with water and snacks. The walls, once bare except for my diplomas, now display framed photographs of courthouse architecture from across America. The space I supposedly didn't need has found its purpose. After the carpenter leaves, I move to the guest bedroom across the hall. Fresh linens adorn the twin beds, and a small desk sits beneath the window overlooking Lake Michigan. Tomorrow, Amelia Arrivesa, second-year law student from Northwestern who can't afford Chicago summer housing while she interns at the public defender's office. My phone buzzes with a text from Caroline, my office manager. 3 more inquiries about property dispute consultations. Your calendar is booked fully. Time to hire another associate? I smile, texting back. Start interviews next week. What began as a single pro bono case has transformed into the fastest-growing practice area at my firm. Family property rights and boundaries now takes up half our billable hours. Women like me, professionals whose families view their success as community property, seek me out after hearing about what happened at Sierra's wedding. The Chicago Legal Times profile last month called me the city's premier advocate for financial boundaries within families. The dean at Northwestern Law invited me to create a seminar on ethical family relationships for next spring's curriculum. My phone buzzes again, this time with a reminder about tonight's support group. The Circle of 8 meets monthly in a quiet room above a bookstore in Wicker Park. Adult children of manipulative parents. When Dr. Freeman first suggested it, I laughed. Now I can't imagine missing a session. Last month I finally shared the full wedding story. The relief of speaking those words aloud to people who truly understood swept through me like a physical force. Margaret, a retired teacher, hugged me afterward. You stood your ground without becoming bitter. That's the hardest part. I check my watch. 2 hours until I meet Sierra at Sawyer's Cafe. Our third coffee since her apology. Each meeting slightly less awkward than the last. Her first words, delivered on a park bench 3 months ago, still echo. I've been thinking about why I hit you. It wasn't about the condo. It was because you finally said no. I chose a response that honored both truth and possibility. I'm willing to try again, but with real boundaries this time. The doorbell rings. My neighbor Judith stands outside with a stack of mail that was delivered to her by mistake. We chat briefly about the building association meeting. As she turns to leave, she pauses. Your headache's better? You're standing taller these days. I blink, surprised. They are, actually. Haven't had one in weeks. After she leaves, I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror. My shoulders rest easy, pulled back rather than hunched forward. The permanent furrow between my eyebrows has softened. Doctor Freeman pointed it out last session. Your body believes you're safe now. Later that evening, after returning from coffee with Sierra meeting where we managed actual laughter over a shared childhood memory, I stand at my living room window watching Chicago light up for the night. My chosen family will gather here tomorrow, colleagues, friends, Dr. Freeman, even Judge McAllister, who's become a mentor. The doorbell chimes. Amelia stands outside with her suitcase and backpack, looking exhausted from her bus journey from Michigan. Sorry I'm early, she says, uncertainty in her voice. The bus schedule changed. My hand brushes the doorframe, feeling its solidity beneath my fingers. This threshold that my parents thought I should surrender. This space they believed I had no right to claim. Welcome, I tell her, stepping aside. This space was always meant for something meaningful.